So we all want to get better, right? We all have these big, ambitious goals we want to hit. But what if this secret wasn't some huge, heroic effort? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive into James Clear's Atomic Habits and look at this really powerful, kind of counterintuitive idea that the most remarkable results actually come from changes that are so tiny you can barely even see them.
Okay, what's with this number? 37. That is how much better you could be just 1 year from now if you improved by only 1% each day. I know, just 1%. It sounds like nothing, right? But the math behind it, it is absolutely staggering. This isn't just a little improvement. We're talking about a total transformation.
So, where does this incredible growth come from? It's all about the power of compounding. It works just like interest on money in a savings account. Your tiny habits build on top of each other, and over time, they create these exponential returns. But, and listen, this is a really important but, the journey to get there can be so frustrating.
And this image pretty much shows something we've all felt. We expect progress to be a straight line, right? You put in the work, you see the results, simple. But in reality, it's more like this slow curving line. And that gap between what we think should happen and what actually happens, that's what Clear calls the valley of disappointment. This is that critical point where it feels like your effort is useless, you lose all motivation, and you quit. Often, right before you were about to have a breakthrough. This idea is captured so perfectly in a quote that actually hangs in the locker room of the San Antonio Spurs, one of the most successful basketball teams ever. It's about a stonecutter just hammering away at a rock. 100 times, nothing. But on the 101st hit, it splits in two. See, mastery takes patience, because that final, amazing breakthrough, it's just the result of all those seemingly invisible actions that came before it.
Okay, so if breakthroughs take that long, how on earth are you supposed to stick with it? Well, according to Clear, the answer is to completely shift your focus. Stop obsessing over your goals and start building systems.
Look, goals are great for setting a direction, but it's the systems that actually get you there. Think about it. Winners and losers in pretty much any field, they often have the exact same goals. Every single Olympian wants to win a gold medal, but it's the athletes with the superior systems, their training, their diet, their recovery, they're the ones who actually end up on the podium. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
All right, so how do we build these better systems? Well, James Clear gives us this beautifully simple and super practical framework. It's called the 4 laws of behavior change. The laws are make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Each one is like a little lever you can pull to build good habits and, get rid of the bad ones. For this explainer, let's just zoom in on 2 of the most powerful ones that you can start using right away, making habits obvious and making them easy.
So the first law is all about designing your environment to make the cues for your good habits totally impossible to miss. And why is that? Well, because so much of what we do is just a reaction to what's around us. What we see is often what we do.
And this isn't some big secret. I mean, retailers and marketers, they've built their entire businesses on this principle. Products at eye level sell better. The stuff they put on the end of the aisle just flies off the shelves. Our behavior is constantly being shaped by the way things are presented to us in our environment. Check out this example. It's from a hospital cafeteria that wanted to get people to make healthier choices. They didn't give a big lecture or hang up motivational posters. Nope, they just added water stations in more spots. And the result? Water sales shot up by over 25%. They just made the good choice the most obvious one, and people's behavior changed, automatically. So the big takeaway here is that you can be the architect of your own choices. Redesign your space. You want to read more? Don't hide the book on a shelf. Put it right on your pillow. Want to eat more fruit? Get it out of the fridge and into a bowl on the counter. You're basically making your good habits the easiest, most obvious path to take. And that leads us perfectly to the second law we're going to talk about. Make it easy. The goal here is to make your habits feel almost inevitable. And this works because it taps into our brain's natural tendency to save energy. I mean, we are fundamentally wired to follow the path of least resistance. To really get this, let me tell you about this fascinating little experiment from a photography class at the University of Florida. So a professor splits his students into 2 groups. He tells one group they'll be graded only on the quantity of photos they turn in. 100 photos gets you an A. The other group, they'll be graded on quality. They only need to submit one single perfect photo.
So, who do you think produced the best work? Yeah, it was the quantity group. While the quality group was busy sitting around theorizing about what makes a perfect photo, getting totally paralyzed by it, the quantity group was out there just shooting, experimenting, messing up, and learning from their mistakes. They got good because they were taking action. They made it easy to just do the work. And that, right there, is the law of least effort, in a nutshell. It's not about avoiding hard things, not at all. It's about reducing the friction so you can get started. You want to make it as easy as possible to do the things that are really going to pay off for you down the road.
One of the best real-world examples of this is something called the paperclip strategy. It was used by a young stockbroker. Every morning, he'd put 2 jars on his desk. One was filled with 120 paperclips. The other one was empty. So his job was to make 120 sales calls a day. After every single call, he would just move one paperclip from the full jar to the empty one. That's it. It was as simple, it was clear, and it was a super easy visual way to track his progress. It made the very next action feel effortless. Just make one more call, move one more clip. He built this brilliant little system that made success feel almost inevitable.
Ultimately, the big takeaway from Atomic Habits is this. You don't need some massive burst of motivation to succeed. You just need small, obvious, and easy habits that you can actually stick with. Consistency will always, always beat intensity. So as we wrap this up, just ask yourself this. What is the one tiny habit that if you did it every single day would put you on a path to become 37 times better a year from now?